this is Mateusz Kołosowski, your favorite chess streamer. Welcome to Ultimate Sensei Season 2. I'm glad to meet my new student, Seth, for the first time. Hello, Seth, how are you?
Good, how's it going?
I'm pretty good too.
Good.
Tell us about your plans for today.
Today, well, I woke up nice and early so I could do this, and then I'm going to play some OTB, sort of a small tournament, 1 day, 3 rounds. So yeah, I think the shortest. I think that's the fewest rounds I've ever played.
Yeah, actually, I was quite shocked that Ultimate Sensei, like that preliminary event, was only 4 rounds, but this is even shorter, right? So that's quite funny.
Yeah, we do at the chess dojo. They have a lot. That's sort of like the standard, like that 4-round rapid tournament. But they usually have those like once a week. Yeah, it would have been probably better, yeah, if they would have had a longer one. But you know, they probably wanted to do it like one show, reasonable amount of time. So.
Yeah, that's probably that. Okay, so people don't know about that, but we had after you qualified for the event. Congratulations on that, by the way. After you qualified, we had a discussion on chess.com. We didn't have. This is our first session. This is the first time we meet, but we had a discussion on chess.com, and we were kind of trying to get better understanding of which direction to take. And you wrote me a couple of things, especially that you are sometimes struggling where to find an option to take over the initiative in a game. So this is going to be one of the topics for us for today. I will try to share my my insight based on your games, because I analyzed them quite extensively.
Okay.
And also some quick fixes. Since you are going to play a tournament, I took a look at the games you played, specifically in the Sicilian. So I think this is going to be, pretty good for you in terms of, just avoiding silly, getting bad positions early in avoiding that to the extent possible.
Yeah.
So the first game I wanted us to take a look at, this is actually going to be a mix of both. So Sicilian and fighting for the initiative.
Cool.
This is a game you played. I think this is the most recent game you played. I will also flip the board. You can do that on your own for your own convenience.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, there's some nice blundering in here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I totally agree. I was actually quite shocked to see that. Oh my god, it's impossible to save the piece, but
yeah. That was the weird, because I was like, well, should we wait till we get to the moment? But like when the queen trade, I was like analyzing all these ways. Like, is there a good way to keep the queen on the board? Right? That's what I was looking at. And like, should I, whatever? And then I'm like, oh no, okay, trade queen. It didn't even occur to me that the knight would be trapped there.
Yeah, it's something you have to really see in advance, because otherwise you wake up and it's way too late, right?
Yeah.
In any event, let's start from the very beginning. Let's not, go. Sure. The audience is requesting that I put you a bit louder. How good is your Polish, by the way? Do you understand everything they're writing?
No, I don't understand a word. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
I have been to Poland once many years ago for like
where exactly?
6 days. It was on a tour, so we were traveling around. It wasn't like a super fun trip, not gonna lie, just because it was educational, sort of. We were looking at
boring. Who likes education, right?
Yeah, educational and like depressing educational, because we were looking at like World War II and Holocaust sites. Yeah. So
I'm afraid that if you ever go to Poland, this is a part of the journey. Yeah. Whatever you do, you will have to. There's things you must do, and then there is entertainment on top of that.
Right. Yeah. I remember like we went to, like we started in Warsaw and we ended in Krakow.
Okay.
Yeah, and then traveled around in between.
Don't worry, in any case, at the end of our coaching program, at the end of just before the main event, your Polish will be fluent, so
cool.
this is
Nice.
a side effect of those sessions. We're mainly
That'd be
here for
great.
chess, but secondary goal, Polish.
Yeah, I'd love to learn another language.
Okay, so let's take a look at the game.
Okay.
The first observation I made is that people don't know that, we both know that you played as Sveshnikov against Sicilian, against the open Sicilian. And I quite like the games you played in Sveshnikov. I think you have a decent understanding of what needs to be done there, but at the same time, whenever people try close Sicilian or something which is not necessarily the open line or not the main line, you seem to be struggling, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm not sure if...
I feel like I feel like it can go either. I feel like I've played like a couple, like for my level, like model games in the close same, and then I feel like others where I just totally lose the thread and like
Okay.
So it's like more maneuvering. It's like less obvious maybe sometimes what the plans
That's true.
are supposed to be.
That's true. And I would probably not be even mentioning that if it wasn't for the competition you're going to have. So in a moment, like probably after this game, we will be taking a look at the game you played against Blue Jay. And he is going to be one of your opponents in the main event. Right. And I would just not be myself if I didn't mention that, because I think you might just expect this kind of an opening to occur in the main event. And we want to be prepared.
What's embarrassing about that is I was prepared for like the Grand Prix too.
Oh,
because I knew he played it, and I still butchered it. But yeah.
Okay, so that's an important piece of information, because I don't want to also like totally change your opening repertoire. So.
Oh yeah, well I could take some changes, but yeah, I'd be interested in. Yeah, I've analyzed that game, but I would be interested. Okay, so
I'll show you some additional approaches, because honestly I've been playing close Sicilian for my entire chess career with white.
Gotcha.
So I know what white actually wants to get. So maybe there will be some, I can share you some details, and well, we'll just take a look at proper positions and then talk about it. So first of all, knight f3, and this is the first moment I was actually curious about. Is e5 something you generally play in this position, or was it just instinct, survival instinct? Because obviously you cannot play e6, you cannot play d6, because then d4 comes.
Yeah, e5. Well, e5 is something I normally play, but I think it's like just.
Have you ever considered knight f6?
And if e5,
knight g4.
I don't know, because there's other positions where the knight on g4 gets
get
in a lot of trouble.
I know, but this is we're not being lazy. We're playing properly.
Sure. Yeah. Then knight g4, and then
if queen e2, queen c7, obviously, or even safe approach would be d5 or d6, just to challenge that pawn. d6 is totally okay, I assume.
Okay.
But my first idea would be to go simply queen c7 to attack the pawn, because it's way too exposed. I just don't believe people can play like that.
Okay.
So then. Yeah, after e5, because I have my database open. After e5, it just gives black a good position. However, not after queen c7. Okay, so that's important piece of information. It says f6 is the best.
f6.
I mean, I sort of get the point, because then
challenging.
Yeah, he needs to take it, right?
Yeah.
It gives a very nice plus. It's like 0.6. I know computer evaluation. This is something we generally, shouldn't pay too much attention to, but
Right.
certainly also take it into account. So f6, e takes, knight takes, and then you have a totally okay position. You'll just play, I assume, e6, d5, bishop somewhere, castles. That's fine. It has to be okay.
Okay.
The white's
You
queen is
play
just ridiculous there.
And you play e6.
Or d6, e5 is also okay. Like that is also okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
In any event, I just don't believe white's setup is okay here. He will never get his d4 anymore, so it looks very logical. And
Okay.
so knight f6 would be my first try, and then of course if d4, you get your original,
Yeah.
you feel comfortable here. So this is the whole idea, to still get this transposition. And one last line
Interesting.
you sort of need to be prepared for is bishop b5. And after bishop b5, and this is also going to be my recommendation again against the stuff that Blue Jay is playing.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
A6.
what's happening to my mouse? Not a6. a6 is actually the move you always want to avoid, because white
Okay.
is preparing for this pawn structure. Believe me or not, this is a kind of a pawn structure you want to avoid. This will be torture. Next 30 moves you will just
That's right. I mean,
cry crocodile tears.
that's why they played bishop b5 anyway,
Exactly,
right? So
exactly.
You're just
So-
kind of helping them do what they want.
Precisely. So here you play
Yeah.
knight d4. Knight d4 with the intention that, well, your next move is going to be e6, but you're saving the knight for the time being. Of course, capturing here is totally ridiculous, because at the end of the day, this pawn is falling.
Right.
And if they retreat to c4, you just have e6, and this is a proper transposition to a normal Sicilian. I will provide you with the lines later on, just after the session, just show you the main ideas here. So one last thing you need to know, that e5 is not scary here, and the easiest is just d5.
Yeah.
Capturing in passing, this is of course okay, and a position like that, this is a dream for black. It may look strange to have those doubled pawns and a slightly scattered pawn structure on the queen side, but with the bishop pair, and considering the fact that black is restricting white's pieces so nicely with these pawns actually, you get tremendous play.
I had another game where I blundered horribly, and I had a chance to go for this sort of position, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it wasn't in the Sensei, right?
No.
Okay.
It was just some game I was playing online. And yeah, but I did, and instead of going for this, or like, I think the only moves were like d5 or knight d5, and instead I played like knight g4 and lost the game horribly or something. It wasn't this exact position.
I think I know what you're talking about. I have it. We will be looking at that.
Could have been it might have been a c3 Sicilian. I mean, I can't remember. Yeah.
No, I think
Anyway.
it was knight c3. And in any case, we have 3 Sicilians to take a look at.
Okay,
so
let's keep going.
It will be there, and right. So this is that, and if they play, sorry, after knight d4, yeah, you shouldn't be really concerned about anything like e5, because then you can even take the knight, take the bishop, sorry, and then go knight d5.
Yeah.
Take the bishop and go knight d5. It's okay, because later on you'll very quickly challenge this pawn formation. Without the bishop, it's not so dangerous anymore, and it's not even remotely close to the Grand Prix.
Right. No, this is just
This is okay. This is okay.
Yeah.
So again, knight f6, consider it for future.
Yeah.
E5, the only, I mean, I just have this allergy to seeing such squares. I don't know, I
Right.
just have goosebumps when I see it, so this is my instant reaction. This is a condition I have. I just hate leaving such
You hate
pawns.
saying the weeks.
Yeah, weak squares.
Mm-hmm.
On the other
always
hand,
felt
you play this Fishnikov, right? So
Yeah, so I'm kind of used to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you kind of have to fight over that square with your pieces, but
So you have 2 alternatives. Again, I'm not forcing you to play, knight f6. Just showing you an interesting alternative, in my opinion.
Right.
And opening aside, because right now the game continued in a very normal fashion, in my opinion. Actually, you put it, you played in
My
a very
position was good at some
yeah,
point.
exactly. It's a very decent way of development. And here, after this a3, which may look like a waste of time, but actually I kind of like it because it reminds me of hi Almskart. It reminds me of the Rossolimo Sicilian, where white oftentimes just opts for b4 break, because then it should generally enable white to create play against black's pawn structure. This is very logical, basically, and that's a piece of advice which is, you know, totally abstract, not even connected with this position. Whenever you don't know what to do, look at your opponent's pawn structure and think about the ways to undermine it, whether there are any pawn breaks, because once you manage to find a pawn break, a pawn lever, preferably in the center, your position totally improves. Like every single piece, you will find it very easy to improve every single piece of yours, because it will be generally connected with, you know, attacking this pawn structure. So b4 makes perfect sense, and I think a3 was kind of a nice idea, but you reacted very nicely. f5, very good, threatening f4.
Yeah, well, because I thought queen d2 was a little like premature or present. I don't know. It just
Premature?
Like queen d2. He's just like, I don't know. I feel like he's like aiming for something he can't have, basically, like, because he's just getting his bishop trapped, isn't he? Potentially. It's not, his bishop doesn't have a lot of squares after he plays queen d2.
I generally don't like this setup with the knight on f3, because he would love to have an option of playing f4.
Right.
And oftentimes in these kinds of structures, the bishop actually stays better on c1, to be honest. So bishop e3 maybe was actually bad, but yeah, I see your point that queen d2 was maybe not the right call. Perhaps something like just knight d5, c3, d4.
Yeah, queen d, it's like he's like assuming that he'll just be able to play bishop h6.
That's true.
I'm
true.
obviously not gonna let him do that, so I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, fair point. I guess
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, it's fine. It's actually, or perhaps at this point, somewhere at this point, he should realize what the danger of allowing f5 is. That, I don't know, he needs to play something like knight e1, but that just looks ridiculous, right? And then f4, because the position you got was absolutely fantastic. G3, G5. Actually, here a very important remark. This f5 forced a huge hole on line scores.
Yeah, I knew G3 looked terrible, but this is one of those classic, for I think, like a classic scenario for me, the kind of positions I get into. Like, I'm like, okay, that's bad, I know, but like I don't, it's like, where do I start generating, like, where do I really make them pay, you know, for this terrible position that they have, you know.
So I think g5 is one of those moves you could consider. There's of course kingside castle. No, kingside castle you cannot play because of bishop h6. So maybe g5 is actually the strongest. For someone who looks for entertainment right from the very beginning, f4 could be considered.
f4.
Yeah, with the intention of even kingside castling or bishop h3, followed by queen d7 and something immediate.
Yeah, I looked at it after the game, actually. I analyzed f4, and it's the kind of thing I think it's the kind of move I have trouble calculating during the game, because I'm like, you know, it's a pawn sack, and I have to like see the direct compensation. But I mean, it's not like, it's like barely a pawn sack when you look at the compensation you're getting. It's
exactly a very important point you made. So these kinds of moves are, I don't want to say no-brainers, because of course you should at least make the effort and calculate something, but you can assume that even if there is nothing direct, you will get long-term compensation. And on top of that, remember, it's a practical game. It will always be much easier for you to attack than to defend for your opponent.
Right.
So such moves, they should come pretty naturally for you. and you have my green light to go for such sacrifices. Just whenever you see those, this is what people want to see. This is entertaining chess, justified sacrifice. So you could go like that, but at the same time, I think the approach you took was also very nice, but with slight amendments. So e takes f5.
So
yeah,
I was thinking in after post game, yes. So after this moment, I was thinking instead of knight takes on f5, like bishop takes.
Exactly. This was my next question.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
so once you realize that those light squares are weak, you should already start to think how your pieces should be organized. What's the ideal setup? And only then, so you don't start with a move. You start with thinking, okay, how I see that there is a weak square on h3, that there is some potential to attack on king side. How do I want my pieces to be organized? So if you were able to play a couple of moves in a row, what would your setup be?
So yeah,
ideal.
I guess we're gonna take on f5 with the bishop, and then we're gonna try to we're gonna play like some point bishop to h3, and maybe castle and
queenside or kingside?
Kingside.
Okay.
Kingside, bring the rook to that file, pressuring f3, and then possibly like queen. Yeah. Bring also the queen to like d2 to f5.
7, I mean.
That. Yeah, d7 to f5. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What about the knight? Would it stay e7?
Yeah, where's the knight's future? Also seems like f5 could be a good square for it. It's I have no control over d5, so I can't really use that square. Yeah, maybe the knight should go to f5 because I don't see, unless like, I don't know if I have time to get it anywhere like to g4 or anything. That seems too slow. So
think about it the other way around. What's the ideal square? Like if you were a magician, ideal square for the knight?
Maybe f3 or something.
Okay,
d4.
okay, f3. I like f3. I like f3.
Yeah.
So how does the knight get to f3?
f3, it's at least, I don't know, it would be like you would have to play like h5, h4, knight g6 to h4 to f3 or something.
Wait, what? That's a long journey. That's a long journey.
Yeah.
Come on. From f3. From f3, where, like, from which square can the knight go to d4? Okay, can the knight go to f3?
From g5, h4, e5, and d4.
Exactly.
Knight d4.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is whenever you're finding maneuvering, whenever you're considering maneuvering, always start from the destination. Then look from which square you can get there, right? So here, easily it's d4.
Yeah.
So I agree. Bishop f5 should be the starting point. I'm not sure what white is going to do in the meantime. I assume he needs to start immediate counterplay on queenside, and this is probably the reason why you don't really want to castle queenside. So good call. You shouldn't castle queenside. Probably you will be you will require b6, like to strengthen your pawn structure, because capturing in the context of the desired jump on the d4 square, this is maybe logical. So probably b6 to keep an eye on this d4 square. Then I'm not sure what white is going to do. We can safely assume an exchange will take place. What next?
Castle.
I mean white's turn.
Oh yeah, white's turn. Oh, right here. Yeah. They probably want to bring a rook to the b file, I guess.
Yeah, this is pretty logical. Worst place piece, improve. Then castles.
Yeah.
I actually believe you should play castles before playing any bishop move, because this may be a slight like tactical detail, that after castling you are actually threatening bishop h3. When you play bishop h3 right away, white is going to like reposition the rook, play knight e1, and then maybe f3, and somehow even maybe consolidate.
Okay.
You still have a fantastic position, because ultimately you will place one of those knights on d4, but again,
yeah,
if you castle first, bishop h3 is a threat, so you don't even have to make a move with the bishop, and you're forcing him to make a bad move. Because if he plays rook d1, okay, without moving pieces on the board, what is going to be your next move?
If he plays rook d1,
f to d1, yeah.
f to d1. I guess knight d4, right?
Wrong.
No.
Once more.
Okay. Rook f to d1. Oh, bishop g4?
Exactly. Bishop g4.
Yeah.
So rook f to d1, bishop g4, and we're getting an exchange. This is the detail. This is the detail. You're actually... The threat is oftentimes stronger than its execution. So by playing kingside castle, you're not showing your cards. You're just preparing an attack, and this is the perfect form of initiative. Because when you play bishop h3, it's a clear statement. I want my bishop there. But do you actually know if the bishop belongs on h3? I'm not so sure, to be honest.
Yeah, right. It's like, well, yeah, I don't know. I guess does it go back to like the principle of getting, getting your other pieces involved before you like start playing with your already developed good pieces.
That's also true.
Right? Like
that's also true.
Because yeah, once all the other pieces are in it, like the plans become more clear.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, and you more flexible.
So that would be, I think we agreed what the ideal setup is. So coming back to the game, because there was also one more more than one, but there was a very interesting point. Queen d7. That's creativity to the maximum. I mean, at first I was quite impressed, because you don't often see such a setup with reversed, I mean, not really reversed pieces, because sometimes you actually play like that to give checkmate. But is it a good setup? Do you like it from time perspective?
No, I don't like it the way it played out in the game, because it's making threats, but it's also like long term doesn't have a lot of deep analysis. It's like I'm like, oh, I'm threatening, knight h4 or something like that, but it's
Yes, this is a bit of hope chess,
right, exactly,
hoping that your opponent is not going to spot knight h4, which is actually a beautiful idea. So +1 for spotting such an idea. That's very good. But like you said, this is like saying, you know what? I don't need more pieces. I will just kill you with the ones I have.
Yeah.
So okay, there may be moments where this is going to be true. But normally, under like normal circumstances, which is 95% of the games, I don't know where I got this percentage, but it seems about right. You prefer to have a logical setup with every single piece involved, because the majority, like the quantity of the pieces will prevail. So not queen d7 because that blocks the rook. What instead?
Yeah, it's one of those moves that like, after the game you if I was watching someone else play it, I would have like criticized that move, yet you play it yourself, and you're like, why? What was that? But anyway, so instead,
what would you play given another chance?
Yeah, let's let's see. I definitely look at this after the game. I think
How do you analyze, by the way?
Yeah, I don't know. It depends how in depth. Sometimes I'll like these rapid games. Usually I'll like go through, try to spot the moments where I didn't like. Yeah, I'll try to go through it all. Sometimes, I'll start like with the opening. I'll check like the opening database to see if there was any, like sort of like where the game deviated, and then start kind of analyzing from there. And then I'll also, go to moments like queen d7 or, knight take. Yeah, like based on how especially if I lost the game, based on how I lost it, like what were my problems. And
but you're using the engine pretty much only, right? So
I usually do. I do it without the engine.
You do, but the moments, you identify the moments on your own, or do you?
I try to. Okay. Well, I try to. Yeah, that's my goal, is to figure out like why I lost. Sometimes it's obvious, right? It's like, oh, like in this game, it's like, oh, well, if I lost the knight in the middle of the board, let's start there and like go back. And then like, where was it? Because, and then like it was a blunder. And then like, so I go to that moment and I'd be like, okay, I could play something else there. But then it's like, okay. And then when I play something else there, I get like maybe not an ideal position, right? Like once I realize that you can't trade queens and because your knight gets trapped, then I might go like, okay, and there's no like good queen moves. So I'm like, okay, then my position is kind of sketchy already. And then I sort of work back from like, how did I get into a bad position? And what did I not realize was happening?
And when you're calculating, do you make any moves on the board? Do you just, play around, or is it?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I think maybe I should do that more like as a calculation exercise after the game. I usually analyze by moving the pieces around and like seeing the resulting position.
That's
so, like,
not ideal, right?
Yeah. So like I'll look at f4. I'll be like, could f4 have worked? And then like I'll play f4 and then I'll look at it and I'll be like, yeah, okay, this position would have been great. But like, yeah, I'm not necessarily like the positions, because I guess maybe my thinking, probably flawed, is like during the game I'm like calculating, trying to visualize, and then like after the game I'm trying to see if like the positions I was thinking about with my mind's eye are actually look like the ones that would have occurred on the board.
So there's never certainty. There is an element of risk that it wasn't exactly how you visualize that.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so I'm an old-fashioned coach, and I consider self-analysis being absolutely the ultimate training tool. And even though we're looking for short-term progress, and of course the goal is to prepare you for the main event, but at the same time, it would be great if you grow just good habits for your future self-studying. So whenever you're analyzing the game on your own, I mean, this is basically the starting point. You should analyze the game on your own, and only then, once the game is analyzed, you're sort of consulting the engine. So you have your own ideas, your own notes, even preferably, and only then compare it to what the engine says, to the critical moments that even chess.com identifies, and see whether you got it right or wrong. That's the first issue. The second issue is basically trying to do everything as you would do in a normal game. Everything. So whenever there was a position where you blundered, you look at the same position and try to approach it exactly in the same way as you would approach it in a game. So no moving pieces on the board. If you're calculating, try to calculate it precisely, and consider all of the opponent's possible replies. The normal calculation process. If you're thinking of ideas, also preferably without moving pieces on the board, and only once you have a certain idea how you would like it to look like, then you can actually again consult the engine. That's optimal. Of course, reality is different. We all know how it looks like in reality. That, first of all, we're not analyzing every single game. Mostly those that were not understandable to us, but this is a very good habit and the quickest way to make progress. Analyze your own games without the engine.
Right.
So alternative here, not queen, if not queen d7. Let's do this exercise actually.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I was a little afraid of putting my bishop on e6 just with the tactical problems potentially.
Which
but
is
that's like possible discoveries. Like I don't think it's necessarily doing anything now, but like at some point if like knight f6 check comes and
okay, this is very, very vague for me.
Yeah. Okay, so there's no threat now, but
concrete lines.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, right now you could play, yeah. So if bishop e6, right away they could exchange it if they wanted to. Knight e6, check, and then you take, like bishop takes f6, and then bishop takes e6.
Wait. So you're saying bishop e6, knight takes f6.
Knight knight f6, yeah.
And then
knight
what?
f6 by white, and then bishop takes f6, then white takes on e6.
Why would you take with the bishop?
Huh?
Why would you take with the bishop?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. I guess. yeah. I don't know why I took with the bishop, because rook takes, then rook takes, because if you're moving towards, you could double on the f file at some point. So that is, I think maybe.
First and foremost, aren't you just protecting the bishop on e6?
Bishop on e6.
So you played bishop e6, yes? He goes knight f6 check.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I lost faith for a second.
Oh, yes, terrible. Yeah, calculation is important.
Guys, next week there's a calculation event or tactical event with no, it's not the main event, but there will be some. You get some. You're better seated, right? If you're. So Seth is our favorite. He's the strongest guy of the team.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah. Yeah. So obviously, yeah, rook takes and you defend your bishop. So that would just be a horrible blunder.
Okay, so is bishop e6 a move?
Potential. Yeah, I think so. I think I'm just like sort of getting spooked by,
You're seeing ghosts. This is a condition a lot of people have at this level. So you're trying to be overcautious.
And I think it's because obviously I play this. I get positions like this sometimes in my games, and I think I'm just like I'm having like a reaction or a trigger to blunders I've made in the past. So okay, I've seen I've blundered to motifs like that where I've played an f5 move or something, and with this pawn center set up with potentially weak on that diagonal a2 to g8, and something like a discovered attack happens and I lose a piece or something.
Okay, so tactical trauma is also something that I've been dealing with a lot of times.
Right.
This only happens to people who don't really calculate proper lines. They make certain assumptions, which is good for practical decision making, because of course you don't want to spend unreasonable amount of time on each and every move, because you have other moves to be played in the future. But whenever you cannot just make assumptions that if I played the game a year ago in a similar position, which is probably not remotely even close to what you have in front of you, then you shouldn't play the same move.
Yeah.
No, there is only one way to check it. Calculate it.
Calculate it.
Proper calculation. There is no laziness. If you go for those shortcuts, you will never get the right result. I'm afraid there is no, we cannot negotiate on that.
Yeah, okay. No, for sure. I think especially in these 15-minute games, I've also been fighting a tendency to overcomplicate and stuff. So a lot of things I'm trying to, although I can't really claim that here because I'm not like trying to keep it simple with a move like Queen D7.
That's true.
Like,
this is also overcomplicating stuff. This is
so that's an overcomplicated, very tactical like approach I'm taking instead of just like bishop e6. And
it's such a healthy move, right?
Is the principled move, yeah.
Yeah. There is one more question though. I will terrorize you, but I hope this is going to be, it will be beneficial in long term. Is bishop e6 really a good move? So again, calculate.
Okay.
What do you need to check? This is my question, basically.
Right. I don't totally see. Bishop e6. It's a move. It's hard for me to calculate because I guess b4 is like the most direct, obvious plan for white. Otherwise, I'm not.
But b4 is never a move that you should be at least tactically particularly concerned about, because it's quite clear already that you will have time to react. You will have more than one reaction. You can take on b4 or strengthen, protect.
Yeah. I'm not too worried about b4, and that was kind of always that thought was always sort of in my head this game, because obviously.
Okay, so let's go back to the very beginning. What sorts of moves you should be looking at in a position like that?
I guess does black have any captures that are going to hurt me? And
captures, checks, and huge threats.
Right, like queen attacks, right? Or
something much weaker attacking something much stronger. Agreed.
Right.
Okay,
right.
You know the theory. Let's apply it.
Okay, so bishop e6. So you're the only check in the position is knight f6, which we just talked about. The only captures are knight e5 and bishop c5. Wait, no.
That would be great, actually. That would be great.
Knight g5 is also a capture. Knight g5 and bishop c5 are all, or knight g5 and bishop g5 are also captures. So, and knight g5 is also a check. So, but
you made it. You correctly identified all of the threatening moves. That's step 0.
Right. Then you have to calculate them.
Okay, first of all, let's talk about proper calculation technique. What move are you going to start with?
I guess knight g5 would be the most forceful.
Why?
It's a check and a capture.
Okay.
It's
okay.
Yeah.
I'm not this. Okay, so let's start with knight g5. This wouldn't be the first move I would check. But you can start with knight g5. It's okay.
Okay. Knight. Okay. So bishop e6, knight g5, hg, queen g5.
Wait.
Bishop g5. Bishop g5. Okay. Queen needs to move, but queen e8 maybe is my instinct would be the most logical place for it to move in that position.
Okay, I will try to. I hope it's not going to destroy your entire chess world. I will try to introduce probably a new calculation technique. Try to memorize this position. Make a mental snapshot of this position.
Okay.
Can you properly visualize it?
It might take me a sec. Okay, I think so.
Okay, where is the black bishop? Light squared bishop?
For white or for me?
Black dark squared bishop. Light squared bishop, sorry.
All right.
Your bishop, light squared bishop.
My light squared bishop is on... Oh, sorry, I'm cheated. Sorry. But I know that one. I knew that one. It's still on its home square. Or no, Is this after bishop e6?
After the entire line, so after the couple of moves you made. So you made bishop e6, knight takes g5, pawn takes, bishop takes, and you said queen e8. This is the mental snapshot we are taking with our powerful brains, and this will be our starting position.
Okay, all right.
So where's the bishop?
Okay, so in that position, bishop is on e6.
Yes. Where are white's knights?
All right, white's has a knight on f3. And a knight on c3.
Wait.
No. Oh yeah. Oh, God damn. No. Okay. So no, because what am I thinking? Man, already blown it. No, because there's the knight.
Don't worry. It's still very early there.
The knight's threatening f6, so obviously it's not on c3. It's on d5.
Okay.
I'm bad with coordinates, but I think that's right.
It's fine. The knight is on d5, right?
Yeah.
And are you sure? You said that. Where is the other knight again?
It's on f3.
Didn't you just take the pawn on g5 with your first move?
Oh yeah. So the knight is off the board.
White only has one knight. Okay, very good.
Right,
where's the black queen?
The black queen, after I move it to e8, is on e8.
Very good. Okay. Okay, you have all of the information now to find the first move for white in this position.
Can I look at the board again?
Yeah, you can look at the board. Feel free to do that.
Okay.
In a game, you will see the board. We're just trying to make it extremely difficult so that in the game, it will be extremely easy for you.
Good. All right.
Chat, we will put that on the board in a second. Don't worry.
Oh man, are they talking smack about me? All right. So I have all the information. Queen's on e8.
I was asking you specifically about those pieces.
Yeah, so you were asking me about the knight that's off the board, my light square bishop, my queen, and white's other knight. Just the knight off the board, or the other? Oh wow. Yeah. There's still this. The queen's on e8. Is this knight f6? No, doesn't seem.
Remember at the very beginning, we started considering knight f6, right?
Right.
What was the problem with knight f6?
Knight f6, rook takes f6.
Exactly. So did any change in that respect?
Not really, no.
Not really. So knight f6 is
still bad.
Good.
Yeah, right. I was just thinking because now the queen is on like the 4-king square on f6, but it doesn't matter.
Good point.
So let's see if white's move.
Again, we're looking for forced, dangerous moves.
That involve my bishop, my queen. There's knight Knight c7.
Ah, we're getting it. Okay. Why is it so powerful?
Knight c7 hits the queen and the bishop, and hits the bishop twice. And so when you move your,
it also hits something else.
Oh, and a rook in the corner.
rook.
Okay, yeah. So that's just losing material.
And that's not true. Because we need to calculate till the very end. So this was important. This was so important to take the mental snapshot of this position after queen e8, because if you imagine that this is your starting position, you don't have to go all the way back to the original position to double check if you calculate it properly. That's why it's so important. This is how you calculate long lines. People who calculate long lines, meaning 6, 7, 8, 10 moves, even long, like this game Kasparov Topalov, where there was, I don't know, 14 move calculation or whatever, you need to be able to divide it into portions. You can make it small portions. So even if you calculate 4 moves line, you can make sure that the position after 2 moves is your initial position. Even though something right in front of you is different, you imagine that actually the position after 2 moves is the initial position you have. And then you only have to calculate those 2 moves. The shorter the line you calculate, the lower the risk of making the blunder, simply.
Yeah. Is that like what people are doing when like they're closing their eyes to calculate? They're trying to.
Yeah, they can do that.
Like in the board position. Yeah. All right. So okay. So after So if knight c7, then maybe because. Hold on.
No, actually, the longer I'm looking at it, it might be actually winning for white. Wait, I maybe just.
Okay.
I may have told you that it's. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
No, it's no. Wait. Just give me a second. Give me a second.
Okay.
No, it's fine. It's okay. It's okay. So let's go on. It will be tricky. You will kill me. You will hate me after this session, but we will get results.
No. This is what I need. Yeah. So we're at knight c7. Black to move.
Is it painful already or not yet?
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I could be looking in, I could be going in the total wrong direction here. I'm realizing, because like it seems like if it's not a forced loss of material, then maybe it's because I have some sort of direct threats on the white king, but I'm not like abandoned. But maybe that's not the right.
No, this is actually tricky. That's why I was sort of hesitating whether even ask it, but
it's interesting. So why not?
So maybe don't look for any kind of a win. Just try to find the best move from that point.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. Because okay. Because to me it seems like my bishop's probably dead there, but
it's kind of true, meaning that you will probably lose some material. So now it's about minimizing the loss and also making sure that you're getting the best practical chances out of the position you get. So in a moment I'll show you what I have in mind.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So minimizing loss, that's gonna, because like otherwise I'm like looking for tactical resources like counterattacks and stuff.
It's kind of connected to counterattack, but
okay. All right. The queen has to move.
Wrong assumption. Never make that assumptions. Never make that assumptions.
Okay. I'm making the assumption after seeing there's no way that there's no like checks or counterattacks on the white queen, but maybe even then you could still.
To make to make it even more difficult, or in a way easier, you have to make a move which is not a queen move.
Okay. So yeah, now I'm thinking like if I can just like gobble a bunch of pieces when they take my queen. Okay. So like so maybe bishop, so maybe take c4, bishop takes c4.
What does white play?
White takes your queen on e8. But even then your bishop's hanging. So I still have a knight on f5.
Once more?
Do I still have? I think I still have a knight on f5 in this position, right?
There is one, yeah. There is a knight on f5.
So I could throw in knight takes e3 at any point. I don't know if that is helpful, but
again, where are the pieces?
Oh my god, not on, no bishop on, it's on e3, it's on g5, right?
Yes,
right, of course.
That's why it's so important to make sure that you precisely picture
I gotta
position.
stop looking at the one on the board. All right.
I just remember it's on g5.
Yeah.
Just that.
So it's on g, right? So okay, so bishop takes c4, knight takes e8, rook takes e8, d takes c4. No good.
Wait. Why d takes c4? Didn't we say white is taking the queen on e8?
Yeah, they take on e8, but then if you take back on e8, they take on c4.
Okay, but then if you do that, what's the material balance?
Okay, yeah, good point. So they stacked a knight for 2 pawns, and they took a queen, and we took, so okay, let me just count it. So we have 2 knights, a bishop, 2 knights and a bishop. For
you know how I'm
queen.
always calculating whenever I'm doing that exercise? I'm going like that. Knight g5, h takes g5, bishop takes g5, white is
black
down. Black is +1, right? Then move. I just calculate the balance. I'm not calculating every single piece that was involved in an exchange, because then you can mix it up.
All right.
I know you're a math teacher, but even that.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so +1. I'm not great at these like on the fly calculations though in my head, even despite that. All right. So okay, so we start +1. After this, after knight c7 takes +4, takes the queen, we're now -5. Take back the knight, we're now -2, but then they take the bishop and we're -5 again.
Okay, very bad, right? Yeah. So it's not rook takes e8. There has to be a move which is stronger than that, forcing move for black.
Yeah, sure.
You need to buy yourself some time.
Right. Bishop d5 is check.
Very good.
Now, yeah, so bishop d5 saves it. Then we take the knight.
Exactly.
And we're down 2 pawns.
We're down 2 pawns, and this is where you stop the calculation and start evaluating. For audience, I will just put that on the board. So we were calculating this line. Takes, bishop g5, and Seth initially proposed queen e8. The only move that makes sense is queen d7, because we don't want to allow the fork. But since queen e8 was proposed, let's take a look at that. Knight c7, this is a very strong move for white, because there is a lot of bad things going on. And the strongest move is just to take on c4, because after knight e8 we have bishop d5 check, f3, and rook takes e8. Yes, we're down a queen for what, 3 minor pieces. White also has some additional pawns, but I believe that there will be strong compensation for that, thanks to the option of actually putting enormous pressure on the pawn on f3. In such positions, you besides the material balance, you should also take into account the number of pieces involved in the attack and defense. Black has how many? 6 pieces attacking, practically, we can say that. Okay, the bishop on g7 is not so involved, but it will be in the future very easy to create lots of pressure. And if white goes c4, because otherwise the bishop will be just a beast here, this just leaves d4 as such a hole, and you will be able to easily transfer your bishop back to the original diagonal. If black is not winning this, I will be really surprised, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because whenever you're attacking and defending, and clearly black is, and we're not talking then about situation when there's attack and counterattack. Only black will be attacking, white will be defending. I cannot even visualize a situation where white is going to have a counterattack. So whenever one side is attacking and the other is defending, oftentimes you only consider like the number of pieces involved in the attack and defense. Number, not the value. Number.
Right.
So you will just, your mass of pieces will just harass the pawn so badly. It will be, you know, like 5 pieces attacking same object. Not a single chance that it will be protected.
And also white can never trade their queen, right? So that's another problem.
Exactly. And also, closed position. Your knights are absolutely marvelous, as opposed to the rooks, which struggle a lot because the position is closed. Rooks can be even weaker than minor pieces if the position is closed. They need open files. And opening the position is not possible at all, because the only way to open the position f4 leaves the king very exposed. This is going to be a serious problem for white. A very interesting line, and I think black is just killing it, to be honest.
Yeah, this would be an interesting game for sure.
Yeah. One more. By the way, how much time do we have? Because I know we need to leave at some point to get to the tournament.
Yeah, like 20-30 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so coming back to the game. By the way, did it hurt, the calculation? How was it?
It was all right. It's good.
Okay.
Good warm up.
Okay.
I'm playing a tournament today.
Exactly, exactly. This was my original goal, you know, to prepare you. If you practice this way, everything in the game will be just a piece of cake. So white played knight g1, and here, well, it's quite evident that you have a problem. You would like the bishop to be actually placed on e6 so that you can get more pieces in the motion.
Yeah.
And strategically here, I'm afraid that you played a move which I disliked. Knight takes e3.
Yeah, this is where I took.
Do you know why I don't like it that much?
Well, yeah, I don't. The knight is just better than the bishop.
Yeah, that's one thing. So whenever you say knight is stronger than the bishop, just to make it even like more evident, the bishop is not escaping anywhere. So you will be able to take it in 2-3 moves time easily. Right? So that's the first mistake. You're not being flexible with the exchange you made. Any other ideas?
You're not. I'm not. It's not helping. It's not like helping any of my other pieces.
That's also true. But to be very specific, you're allowing f takes e3, which really improves white's position. First of all, this d4 square is no longer under your control. This is very important. Another thing, due to your bad piece coordination, because the rooks are separated, white gets a chance to create initiative on the f-file. A moment ago, you were attacking on king side. Right now, table's turn.
Yeah.
You cannot allow rook takes f8 because at the end of the day there will be a fork. Right?
So you have to exchange the rook.
You have to exchange or make a move with or draw the queen back. Just not even that because of knight c7, obviously. But even if you play like that, I can imagine that white is just going to trade and bring the other rook, and potentially the rook is going to come to f7 with tremendous pressure.
Yeah, this is the kind of positions that like collapse on you, basically.
Okay, so once more, what would have been better? How to approach it differently?
Yeah, I think I didn't realize like that for some reason that I want like the value of the d4 square till later in the game for some reason. I don't know. Okay, so it's almost like almost better is to like admit your mistake and move the queen out of the way so you can bring the bishop in.
That's true, provided that you want the bishop to stay on this diagonal.
Oh yeah. No. I can play b6, right?
That was a huge hint, right?
Yeah, of course. You want the king is on the long diagonal.
Exactly. So always it's good to withdraw yourself and just, you know, regardless of what happened a couple of moves ago, as you said, you realize that you made a mistake. The first good instinct is to actually admit, okay, I made a mistake, let me reposition my pieces. That's true, but also sometimes you may come up with a totally different idea that, okay, what was I looking at? This position clearly requires my bishop to stay on the long diagonal because of all of those squares being so exposed.
Yeah, I think it never occurred to me, and I think this is a struggle, is like sort of like tunneling on one strategic plan. It's like it didn't, like the idea to pivot, like he's like so a few moves ago, right? Like the bishop coming to h3 seemed very promising. You know, using the holes on the king side, but like at some point they put their king on g2. Right? Yeah, he put his king on g2, so it's like now, right? Yeah, I should immediately like transition that idea. So,
and one more important point here. This is a kind of a position where you will be able to torture your opponent till the end of the game. There is no rush. You can improve your position to the extent possible. You don't need to hurry at all. Whenever you make a move like knight takes e3, you're forcing the matters, and this only makes his life easier, much easier. So you can just play calm b6, bishop b7, introduce the other rook into the game. Not to mention that whenever the bishop is already placed on this long diagonal, you will have some probably tactical ideas, right? So maybe knight e7, you know, stuff like that. But just a general statement, you can improve practically every single piece you have, because in the meantime, white has no compensation, no counterplay whatsoever. Whenever you observe something like that, it's really important to take the most out of the position. So instead of rushing, build up.
Yeah, I think it's I guess when I think like that the position might call for attacking, then I think that like it's time sensitive, you know.
Okay, so
because I've pushed the in my mind, in my like, you know, maybe lower level thinking, I've pushed the pawns in front of my king. I feels a little bit like I'm all in a bit, but really
how to establish
but they
that?
can't. Yeah.
So in order to find the right decision, it's always about comparison. Who benefits the most from waiting, or not even waiting, but preparing? So you need to check if the opponent has anything immediate, either immediate way to, for example, simplify the position so that your attack is no longer going to be, you know, dangerous, counterattack, some kind of huge improvement of the position, these sorts of ideas. In this specific case, white can do literally nothing. He's just sitting and waiting for your play.
Right. Because if f4, if the position opens, they're much
he will get even Exactly.
His pieces, my pieces are much more likely to.
So there is
attack
absolutely
him.
no rush at this point, and instead you should do everything you can to introduce every single game into the every single piece into the attack. Every single one.
Yeah.
So bishop, b6, bishop, b7, maybe double up along the f file, and take it from there. If, on the other hand, there was a situation where, I don't know, white is just able to, you know, create some kind of a important counterattack, then okay, you should probably react immediately. But here, not really.
Yeah, right.
So
Like the knight on b1, I guess, should be my first hint, or g1. I'm sorry, knight on g1 should be my first hint.
Okay, first hint that there is nothing bad happening to your position.
Right, yeah.
Agreed. It's quite a bad sign if he's so desperate to you know, keep his pieces on their original positions. Right. So then, just for the audience, Seth find a peculiar way to lose his piece. So after queen e4, it becomes evident that those pieces are quite badly placed. And in the game there was queen e4, d takes e4, and all of a sudden the knight is trapped. No one expected that.
Yeah,
including you, right?
No, I mean, I have no idea if my opponent saw that or not, or if they got lucky, but you know.
Yeah, that's true. You never know.
You never know,
but actually,
yeah.
the origin of that mistake was bad piece arrangement. Again, if you just play b5, bishop b7, it's a totally different game. So you went for a kind of a like not really well prepared attack with the queen being in front of the bishop, blocking it. So it was badly coordinated, simply. Right, and this is actually the origin of the blunder, because later on you will just trying to fix it. It never worked out, so that was the main issue. Okay. Let's take a look at the Blue Jay game. Okay.
Yeah.
So once more we have Sicilian, and he went for this Grand Prix attack. By the way, here, have you ever considered just going for e6 immediate d5 setup? I think it's much easier.
Then I always thought that like g6 bishop g7 was the way to approach the Grand Prix.
It's more ambitious, yes, but e6 d5 is much easier, I think, because whenever people are playing that, they want the bishop to be on c4, and if you play ideally, yeah, you will get a good position because you'll have a quick e6 d5 anyway. But here you're not even allowing the bishop to come to c4, because if they go like that, you'll have your knight e7 and then d5.
Yeah, but I always thought that the bishop coming to c4 wasn't that scary because you just play e6.
Okay.
But yeah, okay. Yeah, I always thought bishop b5 was like the more critical.
So then you also don't have problems with the bishop b5 if you do that.
Okay. Yeah.
Because on knight f3 you will just play d5, and on bishop b5 you have knight g7, and then kick it back with a6.
Okay.
So he never comes on c4, and when he comes to b5, it's not a problem.
Okay.
I mean, it's an alternative, but I also hate when people play bishop b5 against me, so I kind of know, you know, what the problem is here. Okay, castles.
Yeah.
This is the moment. So I think you can play the line you played. But here it's really important to, like, as always in Sicilian, try to, if your opponent doesn't play d4, doesn't play, you know, for the open game, try to get your d5 as quickly as you can. Surprisingly, it's the right moment to do that. So I will not torture you with tons of theory, but this is one of the lines that I would like you to, you know, remember. So you can take on b5, take on b5 and play d5. And the whole trick is that after e takes d5, obviously you don't take because of the fork, but you play in between a6.
Ace.
And on knight c3 you have knight f6. And you will recapture this pawn.
You get it back, yeah.
With the bishop pair, fantastic position.
I think I've seen that line, like,
So
and researched it before, but
you will memorize it better right now, I guess.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
if d4, you can just take with the knight, and this is, never be afraid of that kind of an endgame. Even though your king is slightly exposed with the bishop pair, and even you can go to c7, it will be more than okay. You don't even have to take the pawn c3. Exactly. It's, you know, for aesthetic purposes, you can even keep it there, so that he has to live with those 3 pawns on c file. So this is more than okay. Yeah, and one last, because this is the way he played it. It's not really optimal, and
I don't think I should have taken on e2 here.
Very good point.
Because I just declined to take it on b5. Like, why would I just? If I'm not going to trade the, I don't know. Yeah, it was. So I feel like it was a bit of a panic. I don't know why, but like, I was just like maybe nervous and just trying. And like trying to find a move, and then like the clock's ticking. I'm like, whatever, I can just trade this piece now.
I know you were guys fighting for a chance to get into the program, so this was, you know, there was stress. The bishop can be a very strong piece if it's on this long diagonal.
Right.
But if there is a knight on d4, it may be equally strong. So here, when there is a bishop c4, you probably want to go e6, knight e7 and neutralize the bishop. When it goes on e2, the knight on d4 is already a stronger piece, so you don't want to exchange it.
Yeah. And then, right, and like I'm thinking like if they take, and I don't know, something also in my mind, some sort of fogginess or miscalculation made me think that like that white could take on d4, and it was like but that's like they can't, and it's ridiculous because
that's never a problem.
Right. And I don't know why I thought, I can't exactly pinpoint what my thought process.
Simply ghosts.
Yeah, but I do remember thinking like, I do remember for some reason having some concern about taking, and then immediately after the game going, why would I ever be worried about that?
Okay, good. So it's good that you managed to draw the conclusions. You know what the truth is. Knight takes d4 should never be scary for you, because at the end of the day, c file gets open. This is one of those areas where you're going to have counterplay, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So just very quickly, one last remark in this game, because surprisingly, the Grand Prix attack is so poisonous that even without the bishop, white may manage to create some kind of attack on the king side. I cannot logically explain that, but in any event, if you get like this kind of a position, your first instinct should be to go for d5 break.
Yeah. I know I have d5 right here too.
You have d5 right here. And also, never ever, under no circumstances, should you play on the part of the board where you're weaker. h6 is just invitation.
That was like some. This is the problem with like when you watch a video or something and you like confuse lines or something. Like there are certain positions where, but like I don't know. I was just thinking like, oh well, h6, then he can't bring the knight to g5, but just terrible. Yeah.
Right, but this is prophylaxis against this specific idea of the attack. h6 actually makes it a target. So white's main idea is not g5, it's not knight g5, it's f5, exactly, and then hitting the pawn on h6. So for future, you know, just don't do that.
Yeah, that was I think that was at least the start of my demise. Like, yeah. Right, I think that's what got me smashed, was that h6 move.
What would you do if you were given a chance for redemption?
Well, I mean, I played b6, which was a little slow, I guess, with the intention of playing bishop b7, but I think maybe just d5.
D5 is one option. Yeah, you could do that. I was actually considering e6, to be honest.
Okay.
Because then
stopping
f5 never comes, and you don't need to rush. So you have the bishop pair, and if you know what White's main ideas are, which is f5 or maybe some kind of a version of e5, but that will also leave probably the e5 pawn slightly shaky. So you can just, you know, slowly improve your position from there. Like go later on maybe bishop b7, maybe even not, maybe just go rook b8, b5, b4, make slow progress, constantly being ready for White's aggressive options. Whenever you see queen h4, you may want to play something like, I don't know, either d5 immediately or even perhaps knight d7, just to
offer the queen
kindly offer the trade, yeah.
Yeah.
With the bishop pair in the long run, you have to have a better position. The only chance for White is to get something immediate, so just don't help him.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think
we're
that's
not
what
showing
happened.
the rest of the game. We're not showing to people the rest of the game.
Thank you.
This is too embarrassing for my student. For the sake of your mental strength, I'm not showing that.
Yeah. The only thing I really thought of after this was maybe after f5 I could have played g5, and like that might have been a little more resilient, but
well, that's true. That's true. However, you don't want to get this kind of a position in the first place.
Right, exactly.
So here we are talking about saving something that is already rotten. It's not a bad. It's not a good position. You don't want to get something like that.
Yeah, well, you know, this always happens. I feel like in the Grand Prix, either you win like very calmly, or you lose horribly. Like you lose horribly, or you win like very slowly and boringly.
So go for the latter one.
Yeah, totally.
We don't want to see your quick games in the main event, because that will probably mean that you lost badly.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
so that's about that. There was this one more Sicilian. The knight g4 one. Just very quickly, because I imagine.
I know what it was. I know which one. It's that stupid opening white where white plays bishop c4 for no reason, like right away. I remember now. I always like mock it.
I hear that so often. And yet people struggle against it. How do you explain that?
This is such a bad move. I don't know.
That it crashes you. It's such a bad move, but I tend to lose against it. So what's the recipe against that?
I always thought like, you know, e6, knight c6, and I don't know, and then like play for d5.
Why not d5 right away?
I feel like I've lost like some lines where they play bishop check, and like you lose a pawn in the center or something, and you bought. I don't know. Yeah, b5 right here takes. It's fine. Yeah,
it is fine. Thank you. There is nothing going on. Nothing bad going on. Just go for that, because the problem, I'm not sure if you realize that, but if after knight c6 they went d4, fixing the mistake, you end up in a position which you don't play on a regular basis. This is a kind of a strange Taimanov line, and as far as I know, you only play Sveshnikov, right?
Yeah, and for a while, yeah, I've been playing.
So you're entering unknown territory, where it can get tricky.
Yeah.
So my piece of advice, just if white is not playing d4, get your d5 on the board as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
So just
makes sense.
Because otherwise you may not get the second chance. And here he also played for this really weird way of really weird Alapin variation with the bishop already on c4.
Yeah.
So once more, you have to go d5. You just have to go d5.
I know. It's so frustrating when they play such nonsense and then beat you. Yeah.
It is. That's why you need to, you know, make progress and play against people who stop playing ridiculous opening lines. Then you will feel?
I feel like I feel like I was just not in the. I just was just very not sharp. I feel like I do tend to have some games with just like complete head scratchers of moves, which is like, if I could just get that out, I feel like that would be like 100 points of rating right there. Just like the complete nonsensical.
Eliminating
games.
complete nonsense. Yes, that's what's
right.
Majority of people struggle with.
Yeah.
Until 2000 or so.
Right, but like even like the game we looked at was like I misplayed it, but like I could live with that. Like, but the games like this where they play nonsense and I match their nonsense with greater nonsense.
So basically, pigeon fight. You're not fighting for just arguments. You're just throwing pieces at each other.
Yeah. So I don't know how that happens.
In any case, I'm not blaming you. Just for future, get your d5 on the board because you might not get the next chance. So here you went knight f6 and you were punished. Remember when we at the very beginning we started with this knight f6 line? Here it's a much better version for white because he can get his d4 on the board. Yeah, and in that position,
now I'm like toast basically.
Maybe not yet, but it's a difficult position. If you were playing French,
the knight is, my knight on g4 is just gonna get, like, it's got nowhere to go, right?
So you could still save it. I mean, probably first of all you don't want to take. I know in Sicilian you should take, but if you play d5, it actually resembles the French defense. It doesn't look like Sicilian anymore. So if he takes on d6, you take with the bishop and you get your f6 square back.
Right.
The endgame looks okay. You can just easily exchange and then you have pressure on f2. So that's fine.
Okay.
Right? And if you go to d5, they will retreat with the bishop somewhere. And then I can imagine you just play bishop d7. And at any point, if h3, you just retreat to h6. Because at the end of the day, the knight may be transferred to h6. And you should never be concerned about such a pawn structure. It's not a problem at all.
Okay.
The lack of the dark squared bishop for white is much more important than that your slightly compromised pawn structure. Because you will get your g-file open, and more importantly, you will get tremendous pressure with queen b6 on the center.
Yeah, I remember
dynamic chess.
Yeah, well, like something like this happened anyway because they took on h6, and I remember.
Do you really want to compare that?
No. But I remember in the game.
First of all, there is knight c3 here.
Into it. Yeah.
So that's the difference, actually. That white has a chance of developing comfortably. And this is.
And then I also played f6.
Yeah, so this was my other remark that, you know, if you get such a position in the opening, I was actually quite curious. Were you just hoping that he's going to take, or what was it?
Yeah, I don't know, sort of an absent-minded. Well, the thing is, like, it's like, oh, well, I can't. There's only one way for me to fight. Otherwise, he just has like all this space, and I'm totally cramped. So the only way to fight back against it in the position was f6. So So I felt like,
but the only problem or counter argument to that would be that if you have a worse position in the opening and you have your king in the center, you probably shouldn't open the position, especially when you're behind in development. It's much better to have close position, because in close positions you will not suffer so much from the lack of development. So after bishop b5, I think just bishop d7, you're actually threatening knight takes e5. Sneaky.
Yeah.
And on h3, knight h6. And I know this is something that is probably unique for this game, but I also imagine that at one point of your career you might also misplay an opening, so it's good for you to know that this is nothing to be panicking about. It's not as bad as it may look like.
Yeah.
So capturing the knight on h6 is not a good idea for white. Allowing knight f5 might be also problematic for white. And playing g4 to restrict the knight might just not be so dangerous, because you will be playing your logical moves: queen b6, bishop e7, rook c8. You have lots of stuff to do before you even have to start to worry about your knight. And at some point you may think about f6, knight f7, or even going knight g8 back and then h5. The king may stay in the center because the pawn formation in the center will never change. This is very important. Unless you... Exactly. But if you don't play f6, you're not going to make a suicide.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
We don't want that.
Yeah. Keep playing. I think it was very like discombobulated. Like I don't even know why. I think it starts with like knight g4, and then like the problems after that become psychological, because I don't know why I like scared myself into thinking I had to play knight g4 or something. Like knight d5 was totally fine there, and like and I was
knight
like,
d5 just transposes to regular Alapin.
Right, and I'm like, oh well, take, and like I don't want, and like you would want them to take that, I think, right? So it's like not that bad, but
no, knight d5 is okay. I imagine
d5.
if this happens, you will still play d6 at some point, so it's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You will easily
right?
undouble the pawns.
Yeah. Again, just like and obviously in worrying about that problem, I created much worse problems for myself, because
do you remember how much time you spent on the knight g4 move?
I can look it up.
I can look it up. I'll do that for you. So because the main thing here is whether you played it too fast, or was it overthinking?
I overthink. I think it was overthinking. I don't think I didn't think I just I don't think I just banged it out.
So the reason for you going for knight g4 was being scared of knight d5 because he would take, or what?
Yeah, I sort of crossed knight d5 off quickly, actually.
Okay.
Which was stupid in hindsight, but
you know that this is a move that you normally play, right? So this is quite surprising.
Yeah, it was very weird. It was just a very weird game by me. Like hard to explain.
Bad day, too early, too late, something like that. Whatever it was.
Yeah.
Okay. So in any case, yes, good observation. I think knight d5 is the right move to be made there. But in any case, if you still end up in a position with knight g4, remember that it's not the end of the world. You can still turn it around.
Yeah.
And it should be fine.
I somehow missed, like I knew my knight was going to, I'm like, okay, well, knight will go to h6 back to f5, and I'm just totally overlooked bishop. I remember when bishop takes, I was like, oh yeah, that, so like wasn't part of it. I was like, so but then like here I'm like talking myself into, I'm like, oh okay, it looks bad, but they don't have a dark square bishop, so maybe I can survive here. But no,
I think the position is actually still okay if we get to move 13. But you made once more a big strategic mistake. You opened the position even though you're totally not ready for that. Yeah. Right? So you took on e5. Okay, even after that, you may still save yourself with castling, because this is a huge threat. But I imagine that maybe this was even your original idea, but then you spotted knight c6. This is how I understood it.
Yeah, I think I did spot knight c6.
But if you castle first, this exchange will not escape. You can. This is again this discussion: who benefits from waiting?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. It is in black's best interest to exchange, but on your conditions. As in French defense, you might even consider at some point playing c5, just to get even more excitement on the board, challenging your opponent's pawn structure. And then, make him think.
Yeah.
If he takes, well, be my guest. Queen takes f6, developing a piece for free. Why not? Because if on the other hand you're taking on e5, you're just inviting his knight to become an octopus.
Yeah, just bringing his pieces to the great squares. Yeah, so all right.
You know, a good player understands which piece to exchange for which piece, and an even stronger player knows when to do that. Find this perfect timing. So here, if you know that there will be an exchange, you might want to just find the absolutely best version of this.
Yeah.
Just wait for him to take simply, or create so much pressure with a move like c5 for just, I don't know, improving your pieces, so that he needs to.
I think sometimes I misevaluate it because I'm like, I always want to like sort of default to not trading. If everything's equal, if I'm not sure, I'll err on the side of not trading. But then I think sometimes like it'll be like 2 moves later and I'll be like, oh my God, can I still make that trade? You know, you'll realize that like you needed the
note
trade.
Taken. Trading, next lesson. When to and when not to trade. No, next lesson, since we are going to have a tactical event, we will be practicing tactics, but I guess we're set for tomorrow for that. So I will be torturing you and Ty simultaneously with tactics. That's the idea.
Cool. Yeah, that'll be good. Training.
Okay. So I guess we can finish here for today.
Yeah, I better get going.
You have your tournament approaching. 3 rounds, right?
Yeah.
How many points are you scoring today?
I'm playing up a section today, so.
Okay, so whatever you score is going to be good, right?
Yeah, sure. Right.
No, we're keeping fingers crossed. And tomorrow, 9 p.m. Polish time. What is it for you? Oh, chess numbers is there waiting for us.
Yeah, so I guess that'd be 1 o'clock here.
Okay. Okay.
I think you're 8 hours ahead of me.
So okay, I will send you the database with some of the notes I made on the games you played, with the Sicilian lines we mentioned, right? So that you can recap that whenever you feel it's needed. And we're going to have tactical session tomorrow. I'm not sure if there's anything left unsaid right now.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, in any case, we're going to. We can drop each other a line.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So,
good.
Chat, I will be finishing this stream. I need to connect with Ty, so there will be a separate stream just like in a couple of minutes. And also there will be 2 separate videos from those separate sessions. Good.
All right. Okay.
Thanks a lot for today. I'm rooting for you for today. Stay strong.
Thank you.
Be ambitious, play aggressively, and look for those silly tactical mistakes.
All right. I will.
Okay, good. Thanks a lot for today. And I'm seeing you tomorrow. We'll see how many points you scored.
Yep.
Good.
All right.
Great.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.